Welcome to another episode of 6 Minute Monday, where I give you 6 tips and tricks to make you more efficient and effective in the weight room, the boardroom, and on a football field. So here we go. Tip number one. Tip number one, it actually has 3 separate tips inside of the one tip, and it's a leadership tip. And it's the questions that your people are going to ask of you. They say good leaders ask great questions, but your followers, the people that you're leading, they're also going to ask great questions. And the first one, by the way, these questions they're probably not going to ask out loud. They're probably going to hold them into their chest, but they're going to be thinking them all the time. And the first one is, do I trust you? Do I trust you? If your people can't trust you, if they can't trust you, it doesn't matter. Like, you can never lead them. Question 2 is, do you care about me? If they think that you don't care, that it's just about the work, that it's just about you getting things for them so that you can progress, well, then they're not going to be led by you. And the last question, this is the tough one, because maybe they do trust you. Maybe they know that you care about them. But this is where it's on the onus of the leader to keep getting better and better. And this third question is, can you help me? Can you help me? Sometimes there's good leaders out there, or good people, good bosses. They're trustworthy. They care about their team, but they can't offer them anything. They can't offer them any value. They bring, maybe they capped out. Maybe they help that leader that they're coaching up get to here, but now they can't help them get to there. So they're stuck. And if you remember that law of respect that we talk about a lot, that law of respect is people naturally follow leaders who are better than themselves. So if you can't lead me anywhere, if you can't give me anything more, yeah, I trust you and I know you care about me, but I got to go look for another or a better leader. So it's on you as the leader to keep getting better and better so that you can keep helping your people. Or if you can't help them, find other people that can be that connector who can connect them to the right people at the right time. Okay, tip number two. Tip number 2, it's a productivity tip. It's rough. I've been talking to people about this, and some of them, they're just not understanding the extreme value in what I'm about to say. And it is to hold sacred. I'll say this again, to hold sacred the most valuable time of day for you. It's a time for you where you can be productive, or you can reflect, or you can think, but it's got to be your time. Some people, they just get up and they have a laundry list of stuff and they do it, and it doesn't matter when they do it, and their lives are a jumbled mess, and maybe they'll get stuff done, maybe they won't. But if you're thinking about personal growth and you're thinking about getting better, you have to designate a time for you where you know you're your most productive, where you need to be able to get those things done. And some people might say, listen, I got kids, I got a family. Yeah, I know you do. It's even more important that at those times you need to designate those times for you. It doesn't need to be 5 hours, it could be a half hour. But I've worked with people that have wives, kids, and they're going to get up an hour or 2 before their wives and kids, and they're going to hold that time sacred to them. Maybe it's to go to the gym, maybe it's to reflect. And then they'll do the same for their partner. They'll say, listen, I had my hour or 2 to myself. Now I'll take care of the kids, and you have this hour or 2 to yourself. But if you're just scrambling, reacting to life, you're never going to get better. You got to hold those times a day sacred. Okay, tip number 3. Tip number 3, this is going to have like a couple of mini tips inside of it again. It's a health tip. It's also probably a productivity tip. It's a leadership tip. It's a life tip all in one. And it's about sleep. Now, why is this touching everything else? Because if you're not sleeping, you're not going to be productive. You're not going to be healthy. You're not going to think the right way. You're not going to recover the right way. I would say, aside from oxygen, sleep is the second most performance enhancing, I'll call it drug for lack of a better term right now, than anything else you can do. Sleep is how you're going to recover. Sleep's going to get rid of all the gook in your brain. It's going to clean out your brain, literally. It's going to prevent Alzheimer's. It's going to help you feel fresh. It's going to actually connect the dots on thoughts that you had. It's going to connect the dots on physical things that you're trying to learn. Because maybe I'm trying to learn to swing a baseball bat today. I don't know how to do it, but I sleep on it and I get better just because my brain is connecting those synapses. This is also why that term sleep on it is so important. I didn't even get to the tips yet, but I'm going to give you some of the tips. And some of these came from the guy called the sleep doctor. I was listening to a podcast that he was on, and I experimented with a few of these things, and they legitimately worked. These are things that worked for me. So what was my problem? I couldn't sleep well. 2 reasons. One, pain in my hip. It's still there. Pain in my lat. It's not completely gone. I could not sleep well. Maybe I'd sleep for like an hour or 2 and get up. And 2, weird thoughts going through my head. My mind never, ever shut off. So he has you take this test online. You kind of figure out what your chronotype is. I think mine is called a dolphin. And then they give you tips and tricks on how to sleep better based on your chronotype. I'm going to give you a couple of things that really worked for me. The first one here is don't look at the clock if you happen to get up. I always did that. I'm looking at the clock. Oh my God, it's 2 o'clock. Oh my God, it's 3 o'clock. And then the thoughts would start racing in my head again. How many hours did I sleep? How many more hours do I have to sleep? When's my alarm going to go off? I have to really go to sleep fast. And I would try and get myself all tucked and tight and try and rush to sleep. That never works. It just created more anxiety. So one of the things that I did is I stopped looking at my clock. If I woke up. If I woke up, I wouldn't look at my cell phone and see what time it was. I stopped looking at it, and wow, the anxiety gone. And now I've slept, I'm almost going to say, instead of waking up 8 times a night, now I'm probably waking up 2 times a night. So that was thing number 1. Thing number 2, let me go to my list here. I got a list here. Thing number 2 is, don't eat or drink within 2 or 3 hours of going to bed. Don't eat or drink within 2 or 3 hours of going to bed. This is big. Now, what he's saying was you don't want to get your heart rate up because that is now what's going to cause you to stay awake. But I eat only 1 meal a day. So I'm trying to cram all of my food into dinner. So now I've got to make sure that if I'm going to bed at 8:30, I really got to be done with eating by 6:30. 6:30 is my last cutoff point, eating and drinking. I got to eat slowly. But I have this window of time where I can eat. Otherwise, it is going to keep me up. And I've noticed that that's happened. If I had something right before I went to bed, that would be a problem. We've talked before on this podcast about not drinking too much water before bed because you're going to have to get up to go to the bathroom multiple times. But I didn't think about the eating part. And then the last thing, let me go to my notes, is, this is a big one, counting. So I have a lot of thoughts going through my head. These are the things that wake me up. And what he said is that you want to time up your breathing with your counting. So what you do is you breathe in for 4 seconds with your eyes closed, and you count 1, 2, 3, 4. But with your eyes closed, you want to actually see the number, visualize the number. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then, after you've breathed in and counted in for 4 seconds, then you're going to hold your breath for 7 seconds. Again, counting. 1, 2. You're counting those numbers as you're seeing them. So you breathe in for 4, you hold it for 7, and then you exhale for 8. Again, 1, 2, 3. You're doing the counting. As you are seeing the number. You're actually reading the number and counting it out. And you repeat that until you go to sleep. And he said about 20 times, but I'm conked out. I get to 4 and I'm done. What was his reasoning for it? He said, you can't count and be stressed at the same time. You can't count and have your mind race at the same time. It's kind of like our theory of you can't be grateful and be depressed at the same time. And wow, it works. So sleep doctor, thank you. My sleep has improved incredibly over the past week. Those 3 tips worked for me. I don't know. Try it out. Try one of them. Go and do something with this. See if it works for you. Okay, tip number 4. Tip number 4 is something I'm experimenting with. I got a prop for today. We got the camera on. If you're watching this thing on YouTube, if you're not, and you're just listening, you can hear. It's the shake weight. So what I'm experimenting with is when you sprint, you're supposed to have your hand wide. You want to keep those fingers wide. It's going to elongate parts of your body. It's going to help you snap as you're sprinting. So what people have said, good sprint coaches say, listen, I don't like these shake weights because I got to hold them with a grip and it doesn't work. Well, what I'm experimenting with is now holding it like this, where my thumb is on the top, my pinky is on the bottom, and it's given me more space to make my fingers long and stretched out as I'm running. Now, again, they say to good sprint coaches to have your hand, they'll say to have your hand wide, because it'll make your body think it's getting long, and it's going to snap those arm angles while you're running, snap your legs back and forth because you've put those fingers out wide, not keeping them in tight. So I experimented with it last week. It's actually pretty effective. And at the same time, you're getting the of the shake weight. For people that don't have shake weights, I'm going to read you the next tip because that tip is done. We're now going to tip number 5. And this shake weight tip, very important, is for the people that haven't gotten a shake weight yet. By the way, if you want to get one, I don't have commercials on these things yet, I had them. Now I don't have them. Now all these things are in the notes. Go to the notes. You can get shake weights for about 10% off using my code. But let's get back to tip number 5. Tip number 5 is something I've listened to that moved me. It's another podcast from Warren Buffett. I knew it wasn't Warren Buffett. I knew it. I finally decided to look down and it said, this is an AI representation of what we think Warren Buffett would have said based on his collection of writings and teachings. I knew it wasn't him because I started listening and I'm like, this doesn't sound like him. Kind of sounds like him, but it doesn't sound like him. Anyway, he said, these are the things that you should not be cheap about. Now, this is the same guy that if you study his teachings, he's basically telling you to be cheap in everything. He's lived in the same house forever. He's got like a modest car. He doesn't buy extravagant things and he's a billionaire. He's basically saying his usual teachings are you got to be cheap about everything. Put all your money into investments. Don't touch it. Don't buy yourself anything. But he said there's 7 things that you should not be cheap about. And he gives you a few of them. I'm sorry, he gives you all 7, but I'm going to give you a few of them. There's actually 4 that stuck out. Now, this is going to sound like this is all me selfishly telling you to do these things, but it's not. I'm telling you, this is not. Like, these are things that I have personally invested in me, and I'm telling you that those investments were huge, and these are the things that I'm also not cheap about. So here we go. The first one is knowledge. Don't be cheap about acquiring knowledge. And what he was saying, which is 100% right, is there's so many things you can get for free. I can listen to podcasts for free, watch videos for free. You can get them for free. But when you're paying for something, first of all, it's always better. It's always better than the free stuff because you're investing in it, and now you're more committed to doing it. If I paid $5,000 for a course or a mentor or a coach, I'm going to make sure that I get this stuff done versus just watching a podcast. Most people listen to a podcast or watch something on YouTube and they move on to the next thing, the next podcast. Hell, even this. Are you guys going to do anything if you listen to this? Are you going to actually take action? I don't know. I hope you do. I hope you go do one thing. But really, if you're going to spend money on something, you're going to be more committed to doing that thing. If you're looking behind me right now, there's books all over the place. That's money that I spent on books. And like I said before, I don't just read books. I live books. I don't just read these things. I live them. I take notes on them. I go back and review those notes. I make courses on them. I teach people things on these books. So again, invest in knowledge. Invest in coaches. Invest in people that can help you do things you've never done. Take you to places you've never been. Now, there's this quick story that I'm going to digress to. So there was this factory. This factory's trying to manufacture. I won't even say what it was. I can't even say what it was. But they're trying to manufacture. We'll call them widgets for right now. And all of a sudden, they can't manufacture them. They don't know what the problem is. They're trying to figure it out for weeks and weeks and weeks. And they call in this expert, this root cause analysis expert. He's the guy. He's the guy that can fix anything. They call him in. He walks through the shop. He walks through the machine floor. He takes out this little hammer. He walks up to this motor, listens, hits it with the hammer. Motor stops making noise. Conveyor belt starts working right. Parts are manufactured with no problem. He's in and out of there in 10 minutes. He sends them a bill for $10,000 for 10 minutes. Company's irate. You charge me $10,000 for 10 minutes? I want an itemized bill. So he said, I'll give you one. He gives them the bill. It is $2 for tapping with the hammer and then $9,998 for knowing where to tap. $9,998 for knowing where to tap. So why is this so important? Because when you get that coach or that expert, they're telling you where to tap. They're saving you all the time and money and energy that they had to help them figure out where to tap. They're telling you where to tap. So that's one thing that I 100% agree with Warren Buffett on, is to invest in knowledge. Again, he said the best investment he ever made was going to speech school, or actually going to school for Daniel Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is a guy who's a billionaire. He said that's the best investment he ever made because he taught him how to communicate. And if you can't communicate, his words, not mine, if you can't communicate, it's like winking at a girl in the dark. They'll never know. Okay, the second thing he said you should invest in is your health. You might say, hey, George, this is propaganda for you pitching the things that you do, but I promise you it's not. If you want, I'll send you the link to this episode from Warren Buffett. And I agree again. You should invest in your health, because what good is knowledge? What good is any of this if you're unhealthy? If you are unhealthy, none of this matters. It doesn't, if you can't get out of bed, if you can't walk to where you want to go. By the way, I'm still dealing with my hip pain, so I get it. I know that my health is bothers me more than anything else. It bothers me more than anything else. You won't be able to sleep. You won't be able to function. You won't be able to enjoy life. So spend money on your health. It doesn't even mean you have to get a coach, but it could mean spending money on more nutritious food. It could mean spending money on a gym membership or the right tools and gadgets that you can use inside of that gym. But don't be cheap with that stuff. Don't hold back. I don't have money for the gym. Some people will use that as an excuse. My gym fees went up. I'm not going to the gym. I actually heard someone that I know pretty well say that. My gym fees went up. I'm not going to the gym. I said, that was the excuse you were waiting for. You were waiting for that out. You'll wake up every morning and go to the bagel store and buy bagels. You'll spend money on that. But you're not going to spend an extra $10 a month to go to a gym that's going to put you in a position to be healthy. Don't be cheap on that. Don't be cheap on it. Speaking of, that leads back to the shake weights. Coach, I don't want to spend $55 on a shake weight. I guarantee you spent $55 on far less healthy, good things for you. I guarantee. I think what was that concert I went to? I went to some concert. I went to a comedy show to watch Andrew Schultz. We bought 2 drinks. It was like $70. Yeah, way less useful than this thing. The stuff made me worse. This thing's going to make me better. Okay, the third thing he said, professionals. This one, sick, great information. He mentioned 2 things specifically that I 100% believe in. One, a plumber. If you don't know what you're doing, hire a plumber or a contractor of any sort, because you may completely ruin your own house or your own stuff. So call people who are professionals at things that you are not professional at. Do I think you should know how to use some tools? Absolutely. I grew up on a heating and air conditioning truck. But most of the time, the biggest problems we had when we went into somebody's house and they're like, yeah, I tried to fix this and fix this and fix this. And we're like, you did irreparable damage to your house. What would have cost you $100 is now going to cost you $5,000. Not to mention the time you wasted just to save $100. The second one he mentioned, which I wholeheartedly believe in, is taxes. I'm a smart guy. I'm pretty good at math. I could probably figure out my taxes. But am I ever going to be as good as Brian Weintraub and his dad? No, absolutely not. This is what these guys do. They're the experts. They are way better at this than I'll ever be. I used to use TurboTax, which is a pretty good tool. But I knew that with the complexity of what was going on in my life, I had to go to the legitimate experts. So don't be cheap on that stuff. Whatever it is you don't think you're great at, we talk about getting out of your comfort zone but staying in your strength zone. It's not my strength zone. I don't love doing it. I have better things that I could be doing in my life. And why not turn it over to experts? Then the last thing he said not to be cheap about, going back to my notes, is, where is it? Here we go. Retirement fund investing. Agreed. Now, this is one that may not shock you from Warren Buffett. It's kind of what he always does talk about, is investing for the long term. But I also agree with that. I'm not a financial advisor, but I think that's my uncle. He was an accountant, and that was the best advice he ever gave me from the first second I ever started working. He said, George, Take as much as you can out of your salary, put it into your 401k, and never think about it again for the rest of your life, because it's not there. You're not going to want it. I've been doing it literally since the first day I've worked. Since the first day I've worked, I've maxed out my 401k. Since the first day I've worked. Now, people might argue that 401k is a robbery. Again, I don't know. But at a minimum, let's just say that I've been investing in my retirement since the first day I had a real job off of my dad's heating and air conditioning truck. Okay, so we've gone through 4 of the 6 tips and tricks. We're now going to go to tip number, apologies. We've gone through 5 of the 6 tips and tricks. We're going to now go to number 6. Number 6, this is from Kevin Kelly's book, Excellent Advice for Living. Kevin Kelly's book, Excellent Advice for Living. The tip is, a multitude of bad ideas is necessary for one good idea. I'll say that again. A multitude of bad ideas is necessary for one good idea. Now, why is that one hitting me so hard? Because it reminds me of another quote that I think about. To make an omelet, you have to crack a few eggs. I'll say that one again. To make an omelet, you have to crack a few eggs. So the reason that I really love that quote and the omelet quote is because there are people out there who'll never give you that little bit of time to fail. It's like, if you're going to do this, it better be perfect or we're not doing it at all. But the real thing is that you have to have some bad ideas. You have to experiment. Things have to break. Things can't work. That's how you learn. You think Thomas Edison was in his lab and every single thing he ever did worked? No. He probably broke more stuff than he ever invented. He burnt the whole lab down. The whole thing went on fire. You know what he did? He called his wife and his kids as the thing was burning, and he said, listen, honey, listen, kids, you got to see this. You may never see a fire like this big ever again, instead of lamenting over all the mistakes he made. Some of the greatest things in the world came from mistakes. So really, that's an environment I can't live in. It's hard to live in when you can't make a mistake. It's hard to try and put in the perfect football play and run it once and hope that it scores a touchdown or you never run it again. You have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to experiment. That's how people learn. It's also how people eliminate fear. Imagine if you have to make a big presentation in front of a group and you're told if you're not doing this right, you'll never be able to make a presentation again. You're gonna freak out. You're going to completely and totally freak out. But what if you're told, listen, this is the worst it's ever going to be, and it's only going to get better from this point on. It's the worst it's ever going to be. The first time you do something is the worst it's ever going to be, then it's going to get better from this point on. Think about the confidence that you're going to have going into that. You're not going to have that fear because you know you're allowed to make mistakes. You know you're allowed to do it. And again, as a coach, a football coach, let's say, as a special teams coach, this is something that always happens. We'll start in the beginning of the year, and guys will say, oh, I think I can long snap, and their first snap is terrible. I think I can punt, and their first kick is terrible. And people are like, get them out. They stink. No, it's just the first one. It's going to be the worst one. This kid could be great. He could be great. Maybe had a bad grip on the ball. Let's work with this. Is time to experiment, time to tinker with these things. So again, you need a multitude of bad ideas to lead to one great idea. That's the environment I want to live in. Okay, we finished our 6 tips and tricks. See, there's a mistake, and I ain't editing this thing out. I'm not editing it up, not at all. So we've had 6 tips and tricks. If you do not care about Freak of the Week, shut this off and go attack your Monday, because this is 6 Minute Monday. But as always what we do in the advanced training season, we go to tip number 7, the bonus tip, and it's Freak of the Week. Freak of the Week, that stands for fearless, relentless, energized, authentic, and keeper. Again, that's fearless, relentless, energized, authentic, and keeper. And this week's Freak of the Week, unlike last week I named myself one of the co-freaks of the week, which caused a lot of controversy in the advanced training world. People were a little upset, thought I was favoring Sean Mulligan a little too much. If you listen to episode, I think it was 342. Listen, I love you all, guys. I love you all. Just because I gave somebody my gloves does not mean that I love one of you more than the other. It's really amazing that this is a culture where people think I hate them and love someone else more. I love you all the same. Anyway, going to this week's Freak of the Week. This was a tough choice. One of the thoughts was Joe Shalacy, because we did this head-to-head competition, which, by the way, I got smoked in. It was really like a come to Jesus moment that I need to fix. I need to fix my lat because I am not the man I used to be. It's really bothering me. Anyway, I got smoked in this competition. I was humbled during this competition. I finished this competition in 27 seconds, and Joe Shalacy finished it in 19 seconds. How embarrassing is that? He probably could have drank an entire protein shake, BioTrust organic protein shake, while I was trying to finish up this drill. So it could have been him, but I decided, it's not going to be him. It was too easy. It could have been Rob Wallen, who was debating not even coming to the workout because he still wasn't feeling 100% up to speed. And Rob Wallen, he was in the loser's bracket because his team lost. And he had to compete not one time, not two times, but three times. And still won. But he had to compete three times because the person he was going against just wouldn't let him win. He wouldn't let him win. But Rob Wallen still did win, and I could have gave it to him. But based on some reflection and complemented with some popular demand, guys reaching out to me on the side, this week's Freak of the Week goes to Nick Colombo. That's right, Nick Colombo. It's a name you might not have heard that much on this podcast, but he is a guy who came to us. His cousin, Don Martell, had trained with us a long time ago. He was one of the originals of advanced training. Don Martell was the first guy. We used to always say, break the bar. We really get tight when you squeeze a dumbbell. And Don Martell actually broke a dumbbell, I should say, in Powerhouse Gym. He was a legend amongst legends. So Dom had recommended that Nick join the group. Nick joined the group, and when he started, he wasn't. You could see that he was a tough football player, but he did it on grit. He wasn't that flexible. I could see his ankles were super tight. His body wasn't moving at the speed that it wanted to move. He was all bound up, and it held him back. It held him back. He tried really hard, but it held him back. But this week, in fact, even last week, he showed himself in a completely different light. By the way, in previous Tough Men, he was a guy that I was thinking he might not be able to complete it. Again, not because of lack of toughness, but he just wasn't used to the drills. He was getting used to things. Maybe his body couldn't get into the right positions to push a prowler. A feeling that I know all too well right now because of my hip issue. I can't get into positions I want to get into or out of positions I want to get into. This is not about me. This is about Nick. So I know his pain. That's all I'm saying. So Nick, in the last 2 weeks, has competed not only like an animal. We don't expect him to take reps off or not give it everything he has. He always did that. He's earned the respect of this group because he literally gives it everything he has. But now in the last 2 weeks, I've seen a complete, it's like, when that snap. That's what you're always looking for. To me as a coach, that's what I'm looking for. It's that snap. Remember that comment about you got to make a bunch of mistakes before something good happens? You got to break a few omelets. So you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. It's the same thing with an athlete. You'll coach them, and they're not going to get it. And then one day, the synapses in their brain snap, and it just happens. It just happens. That's my favorite moment as a coach. It used to be the most frustrating thing. I taught this kid perfectly. Why can't he get this hang clean? I taught him perfectly. But then as I learned through my own mistakes as a coach, I realized that it just takes time. And their body's going to figure it out. And I have to say, in the last 2 weeks, I think Colombo's body figured it out. I think it figured it out. Last week, he gave Marechko a run for his money during the head-to-head challenge. Marechko, there's probably not many people better than him at a high-handle prowler push. He beat Joe Sarno, a legend of legends at advanced training, in a challenge championship at a prowler push. He's had the fastest time ever in sprinting and advanced training. So Joe Marechko is no slouch when it comes to the high-handle prowler. And Colombo gave him a run for his money. And then this week, he took Tom Wallen three separate times. They had to go compete again because it was too close to call. Nick just wouldn't let him lose. So if you're asking me, he's Freak of the Week. If you're asking other guys in advanced training, he's Freak of the Week. Probably always for fearless because he's not scared. I mean, there were years where I was like, Nick, are you sure you want to do this? Tough man. He's like, I got it. Nick, you have no cleats. I don't care. I'm not giving up no matter what. He's always had that. But now that click went off. It's the same click that went off for Rob Wallen a couple of years ago. He was stuck. He got it. It's the same click that went off for Jimmy Yuski about 10 years ago. He was stuck. He got it. Now, Jimmy's probably one of, if not the premier guy in advanced training, right? He won the Tough Man last year. He's won multiple challenge championships. Likes to play the underdog, but he's not. So a lot of these guys were stuck. They were stuck, and then boom, they got it. Nick, you were stuck. You got it. You're there now, man. For people that stuck in, that aren't advanced training people, that lesson ties back to that quote from Kevin Kelly. You might be stuck, and then boom, you're going to get it. So I'll leave you all with this last story. It's one I've told before, but it's one it's worth telling again. And it has to do with Michelangelo. It has to do with Michelangelo. So they had this piece of marble that nobody else wanted. Nobody wanted it. They were going to throw it away. And Michelangelo said, you know what? Bring it to me. I got it. I'm going to do something with this marble. And he starts chipping away and taking all the bad pieces of the marble off. He's chipping away until there's no bad pieces left. And when he was done, he created the statue of David. Now think about that. So it could be, if you're stuck, I don't know what to do. Maybe you're just chipping away at those bad pieces until finally you're your own statue of David. Or maybe if you're a coach and you're trying to help somebody, then you're going to help them chip away, and create themselves as their own David. All right, people, that's it. We are done. Go attack your Monday. And go and do something with this. Don't just listen to this podcast. Go and do something while you're attacking your Monday with at least one of these tips and tricks. Bye.